After 5 years of being carnivore, I don't have that anymore. And when the baby was born, when she ate other things other than meat, it made the baby unhappy.
Wow.
So she kept limiting what she was eating. Dr. Sean Baker messaged her and said, you can just eat meat. And by then, Jord had done his famous video, and so now he was in the public eye.
I'd never met anybody who just ate meat, and you are both so healthy. My mother, as a GP, said they never taught them nutrition.
So Jordan Peterson's wife, Tammy Peterson, reports back after 5 years on a lion diet. Let's take a look.
When did you start thinking out of the box beyond just what the doctors were telling you?
I was always in discomfort. My first memories are of a stomachache and not being able to digest my food. That's what I remember from being just a wee little kid. I always knew it was something I was putting in my body. Diet has something to do with it, but I had no idea what it might be. And I know my mother took me to the doctor maybe in middle school, and there was no help there.
I'll just have to get a second opinion.
Mom didn't know what to do about it, and so we just lived and ate a North American diet.
Which is what 99% of us do here in the West, I think.
Boxed cereal in the morning.
Because they're good for you, with just the right amount of sugar.
Just the right amount. They're great.
My mom made bread. She made cinnamon buns. She kept them in the freezer. I had one every day, at least one. I loved my cinnamon buns. We'd come home at lunch. We'd have Campbell's soup and crackers.
I love my Campbell's soup is good food.
And a sandwich, probably a grilled cheese sandwich for lunch. And then for supper, we'd have a roast or something with potatoes and a vegetable. We didn't often have dessert. We never had any pop in the house. When I was watching TV with my dad, we always had orange juice and cinnamon toast or orange juice and popcorn. The food that was in our house was always minimal, and she cooked everything herself. We had a vegetable garden, and we had fruit trees, apples, strawberries, raspberries. We didn't really have anything packaged. Really, what we thought,
Healthy.
that's a North American diet, really. Not a bad one either. I mean,
Right, it's much worse today, because seemingly everything now has been injected with industrial seed oils.
these days there's so much packaged food, and people don't always eat together anymore, so there's fast food a lot. And so really, she tried very hard. We had margarine instead of butter. They were telling her that fat wasn't any good, right? That was the idea. Don't want any saturated fats,
Yeah.
They'll give you a heart attack. And so that was the narrative that they fed us. And the food pyramid, of course, with all these grains at the bottom and meat right at the top, like hardly any meat at all.
We need to cut out all fats and go up on carbohydrates. What happened to coronary artery disease? Went up. So all this advice that was given was totally wrong.
And of course, she was trying hard to feed us the way that she was supposed to. But it was a disaster for me.
That's because you don't eat the right things.
I ended up finding out I had celiac disease. So really, dairy and gluten were not my friends. Early on, I couldn't digest corn anymore. And corn is a hard thing to digest.
Absolutely. Fibre is indigestible, and so too are the proteins, as it turns out.
I have lupus, secondary Sjogren's disease. It's arthritis of the mucous membranes. Raynaud's, right?
Circulation.
I have rosacea, which isn't as bad, and it would be bad. If I was eating a normal diet, I'd have very, very red skin. And I have osteoarthritis. I just keep stacking up the diseases. I always thought doctors knew what they were doing, and I thought if I knew the right doctor to ask, I could get an answer.
Your medical doctor doesn't practice healthcare. Your medical doctor practices disease management. There's a giant difference between the two. When you're sick, you're scared, and you're basically going to do whatever the man or the woman in the white coat tells you to, right?
I certainly did, and ended up paying for it with one of my organs.
So my daughter was very sick.
Yeah.
She was a healthy little baby, but I think when we began to feed her, she started to have troubles. She already had arthritis in her hips from the time she was just this little thing, but we never found diagnosis until she was 7. None of the doctors knew what was wrong with her. They said, just take her to emergency. And I did, and a rheumatologist came down, and she had affected joints in 38 joints. We were looking at pharmaceuticals to treat her problems. The Etanercept came out. It really dampened her immune system, so then she was sick all the time. She would catch whatever came into the schools, and so every winter she had pneumonia.
Disease management.
I knew it was food, right? Because if she ate oranges, her toe would swell. I went to sick kids and I said, you know what? If Michaela eats oranges, her toe swells. And they were like, oh yeah. They kind of wrote it down, but they were not interested.
That's because when you get a medical doctor on the topic of nutrition, most of them, and I mean probably 95+% of them, are absolutely clueless.
There was no help there. So what did I do instead? I went and I took her to naturopaths.
Naturopathic medicine for chronic disease is the better system.
Definitely. They prescribe more than just toxic drugs and actually consider root cause.
I ended up eventually having everybody in the family do food sensitivity testing. So we had these long lists of foods, and they were either green or orange or red. And the red ones you definitely didn't eat. Michaela's came back all red. I was finding answers, and I did find that clue there. That was a clue. I was with my friends, we're out driving, and we went to McDonald's and got a burger, and we ate the burger. By the time we got outside, I had to find a bathroom, and I was so weak I couldn't open the door. And then eventually after that, I started actually passing out. One day I was sitting, putting my shoes on, and I fell asleep. I was so used to it, I'd wake up and I'd put my coat on and go out the door. So I was just passing out all the time when my kids were really, really young. Half my life was sleeping. It was terrible. But Michaela, she slept all the time.
That's a tell right there. The body's inflamed. It just wants to heal. I mean, plant consumption really has done a number on the Peterson family.
We'd get her out of bed and send her to school, and then she'd go outside and sleep on the grass. The school never told me. She just slept all the time. She couldn't stay awake. I knew it was food. I just didn't know what it was. And then one day, Julian made me pancakes for breakfast, whole wheat pancakes. And afterwards, I was on my computer and I was passing out, but I was managing to stay awake. And then at lunchtime, Michaela made me whole wheat pasta for lunch. And I just passed out like
Slapped.
and was out for 2 or 3 hours. And I woke up and I thought, it's got to be wheat. So that day I went through all the cupboards, and anything that had wheat on it I threw out. And the next morning I woke up and I wasn't tired. So that was a telltale sign I knew I'd found. Was this going to help arthritis? Probably not. Like, that was the idea. Is this going to help depression? Probably not. What's going to help depression?
Take a pill.
Just take a pill.
Yeah.
Just take a pharmaceutical.
Yeah.
More disease management.
So I lived like that, where I would go out and eat chicken and salad. We were in Toronto. We had great restaurants to go to, but all I ever had was chicken salad for like a decade. I took her to a naturopath and they put her on an elimination diet. And I think she ate chicken and broccoli for about a month. That's all she ate. And some of her problems started to go away. And so from there, Michaela went into biomedical research at university. And then she had us all do genetic testing. And that's when I found out I had celiac disease, because I have 2 genes for celiac disease. I was now 53. And she said, Mom, you can't have any dairy. And I already knew I pretty much couldn't have any dairy. I never had any ice cream or milkshakes. That always gave me a stomachache. I felt terrible. But sometimes, in a salad, they'll put a little bit of cheese. So I stopped doing that. And this was very interesting, because I went to the gym about a month after I stopped eating this little bit of cheese. It's not that I don't have any mirrors in the house, but I just hadn't looked at myself. You're 53, you're going through menopause, so you're going to get fat deposits that every woman gets when she goes through menopause. Well, when I looked in the mirror, they were all gone.
Wow.
And that was just that little bit of cheese.
My guess is that Tammy may be casein intolerant, which is actually consistent with many people who have immunological issues.
So that was quite a shock to me. So then it was no gluten, no dairy. And so we were eating sweet potatoes, apples, green vegetables. And we ate like that for some time. And then Michaela got pregnant. And while she was pregnant, it seemed when she ate things other than meat, she didn't feel good. And when the baby was born, when she ate other things other than meat, it made the baby unhappy.
Wow.
So she kept limiting what she was eating. Dr. Sean Baker messaged her and said, you can just eat meat. And she thought, no way. And we thought, no way. And by then, Jord had done his famous video, and so now he was in the public eye, and we were in London, and Michaela told me that she had gone back to meat, and her depression had lifted, her arthritis had lifted, like everything was lifting.
Wow.
Like completely.
It's so profound. And thanks to Michaela and I suppose Sean Baker too, I've been depression-free now for nearly 2 years.
I had arthritis in my knees and my thumbs, so I couldn't go up and down stairs anymore. I had had tendinitis in my shoulder since I was 17. I couldn't throw a baseball or a frisbee. On women's bums, often they have kind of a cottage cheesy fat.
Cellulite.
They call it cellulite. That's inflammation. Now, after 5 years of being carnivore, I don't have that anymore.
Wow.
Lupus, what do people do all the time? They sleep. I have a half an hour nap in the day and I'm good.
That's amazing.
It's amazing, And I have secondary Sjogren's disease, Raynaud's, rosacea, osteoarthritis, but I still have no symptoms. I'm on no medication. Like my knees are good, my shoulder. So I could do this with this arm, and this one I could do like that. I couldn't move my arm. Now, my arms are
look at that.
perfect.
No drugs required.
Now, but I can only eat lamb. I have to have like 3 guys looking for lamb while I travel with my husband. We have to get lamb from the store and take it to the chef in the restaurant and say, please cook this, because I can't eat anything on the menu. You know, it's crazy.
It's not without its difficulties, we'll put it like that.
That's for sure. I found these supplements that are an enzyme, histamine intolerance. Turns out you can be lacking a gene for digesting histamines. So I ordered the enzymes. I ordered them and I started taking them. And I would say for the first week, I didn't feel any better. But then I actually started to feel better and I wasn't going to the bathroom all the time after I ate. And you can get different strengths. So now I take like mega strength enzyme 5 to 15 minutes before I eat. And I have a normal life. For the first time in my life, I can be around people, enjoy my time, travel a distance in comfort, be happy, have a memory, you know?
Yeah, I really do. And I'm so happy she's no longer suffering like that anymore. It had to be so confusing experiencing so many health troubles. And it's definitely worth a mention. I mean, going through the surgery I just went through, Tammy showed her support multiple times by showing up in the comments and just being very kind and helpful. And it's just very much appreciated. So much love, Tammy, if you're watching.
My prayers have been answered. My daughter is well. My son's going to travel with us and sing. My husband has no more depression. He has no more gum disease. His vision is good. His mind is clear. I think a ketogenic diet is the way to go, but you have to stay with meat for a number of months. Really, my knees, I think they took 2 years to get better. Chocolates and stuff and ice cream. I don't crave any of it because my metabolism is ketone now because there's no sugar in my diet. And so my body isn't screaming for more sugar. And the thing is, when your metabolism is glucose, you need to constantly feed that. So your body is telling you to get more sugar all the time.
Awesome. Respect to Tammy. That is one incredible health transformation, that's for sure. Let us know in the comments if you've experienced similar, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers, guys.